a real estate agent. It is one of those times where every day we've got to wake up and decide to find creative solutions to these problems of not enough houses for our buyers. And so this is a problem. I don't like to call it that we are facing every day. And one of the big conversations that we're having in our team right now is using this question in conversation. And so what Terrell is talking about is finding off-market properties. And so this is the question that I've challenged my team to use in lead generation at least 10 times a week. I'm frozen. Can you guys hear me? Do I have you back?
Yeah.
Okay. So every week, at least 10 times, my team has to call somebody, whether it's circle prospecting, whether it's in their database, and they have to ask this question. What is the price at which you would sell your house? Not are you looking to sell your house? Not are you interested in selling your house? But it is what is the price at which you would sell your house? And I want you guys to know I used it last Sunday and I'm under contract on that property. So here's the deal. Most people, the house last week, this condo, the folks live in Miami. They were about to put their home on the rental market. And I just reached out via Facebook and I said, hey, don't know if you remember me. Our kids used to go to school together. I just wondered, I've got some folks that really want to be in your neighborhood. What is the price at which you would sell your house? So she threw out a number that she thought was ridiculous. And to be honest with you, based on the comps, it kind of was. But my people were cash buyers and they didn't care. They got kids they want to be around and they were willing to pay it. And the number that she threw out was the exact number that we had just offered on another condo in the complex and lost. And so within 45 minutes of that Facebook message, we were in the house and we were under contract 24 hours later. Just by asking the question. So don't even put any doubt that they wouldn't want to sell, just what's the price? Because I don't know about you guys, Jason has a price. Like y'all probably have a price. If somebody knocked on your door today and said, what's the price? And you shot it out and they offered it to you, it might make you think whether you would do it or not, I don't know. So I think that's the question that we should be asking. And that is, so 10 people every week, what's the price at which you would sell your home? It's starting a lot of conversation. Here's the other thing that we've been doing that's been very successful, is that if you have buyers looking to move into neighborhoods that you have clients that live in. So for instance, we have a neighborhood around here, it's called Reunion. It's highly sought after. I've got several folks that live in Reunion. So I've kind of put them on watch. I texted them all. I said, hey, look, I've got some folks that really want to live in there. If you hear your neighbors or anybody on the golf course or whatever talking about wanting to sell, would you give me a heads up? One of my clients has given me 4 names of people that are talking about selling. Now, it hasn't worked out yet, but the fact of the matter is she is putting me on people that are talking about selling before their homes are hitting the open market. So go to your database, go have them, because they know you guys. They're going to bunco night, they're walking on the sidewalks, they're talking out in the streets at night. They know who's about to move. The other thing we talked about is HOA presidents. HOA presidents know everything. So we talked about this week, one of our strategies of people that we are talking to are people that run the HOAs, because they're getting requests for paint. They're getting requests for all those things that people do right before they're getting ready to put their home on the market. So we're just trying to be creative about who we're reaching out to, people that might have a heads up on who's getting ready to put their home on the market. And I think you guys are frozen again. Okay, now you're back. Does that make sense? Yes? Awesome. Okay. There, I like Alicia's thumbs up. When you're all on mute, it's like hard to hear. So y'all give me some. Good. All right, so before we dive into budgets, which y'all don't hit the snooze button, please. Is there any other conversation? Because here's the deal. I am here to talk about whatever you want to talk about today. And I know we'll get into P&Ls and budgets, but are there any other questions or any other things that y'all would like to talk about the current market? No?
Where are the houses?
Say this again.
Where are the houses?
Where are the houses? Well, I just told you some of our strategies to find them. So that's what we're doing.
I got a question. What are some your effective methods that you use to like mailing out to neighborhoods to get listings to capture any leads, you know, as far as like mailing and after the mailing?
So we are using our real buyer stories to mail letters. You know, just mailing in general, do you know what your house is worth? Do you want to sell your home? We haven't found those as effective, but you know, I'm mailing letters on our Bonds Realty Group letterhead with the KW logo that says, hey, my name is Nikki Bonds. I'm a licensed agent right here in the area. I have a family looking, and I'm telling you this letter because it's one I just drafted. I have a family looking to relocate here from Valdosta, Georgia. They've identified your community as one they're very interested in. We've looked at everything that's currently on the market. I'm just wondering, what is the price at which you'd be willing to sell your property? I put my business card in it. I put my brokerage address. I make sure that they know that I'm just not another like investor looking to offer them below market value for their home. I try to put all of my credentials in there so that hopefully that I will get a response. So a buyer story, you asked about listings, but a buyer story is going to get people to raise their hand if they're at all interested in selling. And if that buyer is not a match, then it's an opportunity to say, well, hey, you know, my buyer is not a match, but let's talk about what your home is worth. And if you were willing to sell to this buyer, let's talk about, you know, would you just be willing to sell in general? Because this price that you said is your sell price is achievable in this market. And let me show you why.
Hey, Nikki.
Yes, ma'am.
I've noticed that you've been doing a lot more videos lately. You didn't hear me?
Brenda, you froze a little bit. Sorry, my connection's not great today.
I said, I noticed you've been doing a lot more video.
Go ahead.
Okay, I said, I noticed you've been doing a lot more videos lately. I've been seeing them in your timeline a lot more. What's driving that? And
yes.
And who are you targeting? And I just noticed you've been doing a lot more video.
What's driving that is the girl that helps us with our marketing. I don't love doing them, honestly, if I'm just being transparent. But just how many of you, and Nala, you're gonna love this because you and I talked about this the other day on our Zoom call. How many of you got into real estate because you really had a desire to help people and you thought it would be really neat to help people find the home of their dreams, help families, all this kind of stuff? That was one of your goals, okay? How many of you guys got into real estate because you would like to provide for your own family? Okay, yes, me, 2 hands too. So how many of you are confident that you are running a for-profit business? So, yes. You know there are such things as nonprofit organizations, correct? So everybody unmute for just 1 second.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nonprofit organizations, they don't make money. We know this, right? They're not in business to make money. That's not their primary goal, right?
Right.
You guys agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
disagree.
the
Sorry.
thing about it is that if you're not running a budget and you're not running a profit and loss, you might be running a nonprofit organization and you may not realize it. okay? So that's what I want to talk to you about today. It's just making sure that you're doing some very simple things to make sure that you are running a profitable business and that you are making the money that you desire to. And if you're not currently making the money that you're desiring to, that you have the path and you know the right path to get to where you want to go, okay? So we have to know a couple of things to do that. And the first thing that we really have to know is some general bucket conversations. How many of you have been in the room when we've had the bucket conversation before? So Alicia, Nyla, Terrell, and Brenda. Okay, so this is new for a lot of you guys. I want to just take some of the like complication out of the whole profit and loss statement thing, because this just does not have to be super complicated. I think it can be, we can start on a very simplified basis. So when I met with you guys before, we just simply talked about buckets, okay? So when you start out every month, you have basic things that you have to spend. And so I'm going to ask for a little bit of interaction from you guys on this, okay? So what is one of the number one categories that you know that you're going to be spending every single month in this business?
Your office due.
Right. To
Office bill, is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
fees.
Yes, so you have your general overhead, right? So I want you to write the word overhead, and that's going to be your occupancy. So that's going to be your office bill, whether you office in the office or you office at home. So what are some of these things that would fall in this bucket, you guys?
Yes.
Cell phone.
Your cell phone, paper, toner, printers, what else?
Supra.
Admin.
We'll hold off on admin. Let's just go with like the basic office supply overhead, like we got to have this to run the business.
Gas.
Let's put that in our transportation bucket. So monthly subscriptions, if you guys have GSCCCA, if you guys have any monthly subscriptions that you pay for, this goes under this one. Okay. Any office supply thing that you have, folders, anything, this goes under this bucket, okay? Now you have your next bucket, which is going to be your lead generation bucket. What types of things go in your lead generation bucket?
Advertisements.
Advertisements. So Rodney, the mailings that we were just talking about, the paper, the printing, the envelopes, the stamps, all of those things go in this lead generation bucket. What else?
The internet campaign.
Current matters that advertising too.
So any advertising that you do for the purpose of lead generation, yes, would go in this bucket. If you guys do anything on Zillow, Realtor.com, if you buy leads of any type whatsoever, this goes in this bucket. Anything that you spend money on that is for the purpose of generating leads goes in this bucket. For me, like our dialer goes in the lead generation bucket because while it's a subscription for the purpose of lead generating. Like GSCCCA is just a monthly subscription to do business. The dialer is a monthly subscription to lead generate. RedX is a monthly subscription to lead generate. So it goes in the lead generation bucket.
And if you're paying for a database, then?
Your CRM. Absolutely. So Boomtown, whatever you guys are using, yes. So that's your next big bucket. Then you've got your education.
Can
Go
I ask a
ahead,
question?
sure, yes.
Technically, we pay our $90, $99, whatever it is to the office, and some of those things are broken down in that. Are you saying that we should pull those amounts out and put them in the appropriate bucket? Or do we leave it just as office dues, right? Because like Georgia MLS is in there, the command fee is in there, all those type of things. So what would you suggest?
I think that everything that is bundled under our Keller Williams office fee can just stay as part of your overhead cost. I don't think you have to get super specific on that. If anything additional that you choose to pay for, I would go ahead and put in that lead generation bucket.
Okay.
All right, so now, oh, by the way, client parties, client events, all of those kinds of things. Now, I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that personally, I have a whole separate bucket for this type of thing, because for me, database is lead generation, but I like to label this as retention and repeat referral. So for me, I have a database bucket. So I'm going to let you know, some people will choose to put that under lead generation, but because we do such a large amount of repeat and referral business, we have a database bucket. So that's where I choose to put that. So for us, that's where our client events go. That is where any of the pop buys that we do, if a client's had a baby or they've had a death in the family or any of those kinds of things that we do, it goes under that bucket, database PCSOI, which in our world is past client sphere of influence. Would you guys agree that's a different touch to just your haven't met database?
Right.
It's a different return on the investment. So that's why we separate those two things. Okay. So you have your auto and your insurance bucket. So that's when you do your car, whether you guys do the mileage. There's a couple different ways you can do that, but your gas, all of those things go in that bucket. Then you've got your education bucket. So family reunion, mega camp, coaching, any additional classes that you guys pay for, all of those things are going to go in the education bucket. So now, let's do a bucket that is, I just call it staff bucket. So leverage bucket. What are you paying for leverage? This is anything that you leverage in your business. Do you have a courier? Do you have a remote assistant? Do you have a contract to close person? Do you have buyer's agents? Do you have any leverage that you use in your world that's a salaried or an hourly position? This is where you put those people. So those are, and can you guys still hear me? Or just raise your hand if you can. Okay. So now those are our very basic buckets. So somebody tell me how many buckets we have.
6.
Got 7.
We got 6. 6 or 7?
6.
I got 6.
6.
Okay. So now here's what happens.
Wait, Nikki,
I have
slow
5.
down. I see 5. I see 6. I got 7.
So the
Can we
bucket
go
I
through
have,
them?
yeah, the buckets I have that you said was overhead.
Terrell, I want you to read me your buckets, please.
Oh, all right, I got overhead, lead gen, sphere of influence. I think this is where I screwed up. I got auto. Then separately, I have insurance.
Oh yeah,
Then I
that
have
was that was
that was
the
one.
same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, auto and insurance
And
are
then
the same.
then education and then leverage.
There
So
you go.
6. All right,
Yes.
all right, all right. Alicia cheating. She got her notes probably from last year.
No, I don't. I'm making new buckets.
So y'all, these are our very, very, very basic buckets, okay? This doesn't, very basic buckets. But here's what happens now. And this was my challenge last time, and this is my challenge to you this time. You guys are about to, you're doing the 12-week year, which I love. As you know, this week is going to wrap up our first 12 weeks. Next week, we have the off week, and then the week after that, we start, right? So on this off week, next week, where we kind of reconsider everything that happened in the first quarter, I would like to challenge you guys, whether it's poster board, big sticky notes, to put 6 buckets, big pieces of paper on your office wall and label them all with these bucket names. And as you guys have an expense, I want you to write it down, and I want you to decide what bucket it goes into. And I want you to track your expenses for the first entire month of the second quarter. So when you decide to do that first mail out, I want you to track how much paper you bought, what your envelopes were, what your stamps were. I want you to write it down. Every single thing that you do, when that bill comes in for that subscription, decide what bucket it goes in, write it down. Why do you look scared? This is such good insight, because here's the thing, you guys. This is the question that you then ask yourself. What is the return on the investment that I made on every one of these things? Because every time you make a decision to spend money in this business, the question you're asking yourself is the return that I'm going to get worth me spending this money? I don't know of any other industry where we're just willing to spend money so freely. Oh, that looks like a great idea. Yeah, I'll spend money on that. I'll spend money on that. I'll spend money on that. The other day, I was considering a little client gift. And when I actually added up all of the elements to put it together, it was just like a little thinking of you gift. And it was going to be like $25 a person. And I was like, is the impact of this really worth $25 when a phone call or something way smaller would have the same impact? So every time we make a decision to spend money, I believe we really need to ask ourselves, is this going to have the impact of this dollar amount? And oftentimes, I think the answer is probably no. Oftentimes, I think that, well, I'm going to say me, I'm not going to put this on you guys. I'm willing to spend more money because it feels like an easy button, but the impact isn't there. And so last year, I really had to do some hard self-assessment on, is this money that I'm spending really making the impact I want it to, or is it just an easy button? And am I trying to replace, a personal phone call from myself, or, what am I trying to achieve by spending this money, and is it worth it? So when you guys are writing those things down in the bucket, I really want you to question, is this money worth spending?
Yeah. Hey,
And
Nikki,
then
can I add something
when
to
you get to the end of the month and you add,
just to the sticky, and I thought you were done, but to the sticky part on the wall, because I remember you saying this a couple of years ago, that it's important to do the sticky notes now, even if you feel you're not spending a lot of money. It's important to start it now before you get way out of control and not knowing where that money goes, right? It's important to scale it up now. And if you're already spending a lot of money, it's important to dial it back in. So it's never too early or too late, because I know like a lot of the guys on here may not be doing a lot of mailing or whatever, but like Nikki said, track it for a month. I don't care if you're doing only $10 worth of mailing. You need to know this is what I'm doing, because at some point your business is going to grow, and you want to already know what that budget looks like for that particular bucket, right, Nikki?
Well, absolutely. And so let's just have the reverse conversation too. If your lead generation bucket at the end of the month is empty, the MREA says that 9.2% of what you earn should be spent on lead generation. If your lead generation sheet is empty at the end of 4 weeks, then you've got to ask yourself,
Are you growing?
am I lead generating at all? Maybe you're doing completely cost-free lead generation. And if you are, that's amazing. But then the question that I think you have to ask yourself is the lead generation that I'm doing enough to meet my income goals? You know, so this is a good litmus test on, you know, you can overspend and you can also underspend in order to achieve your goals.
Thank you so much for saying that, because we get agents, sometimes we tend to want to save our way to wealth. So they'll just say, you know, well, if I'm only using 2 of these buckets, then I'm saving all the rest of that money. But are you growing a significant enough business that's going to make a difference down the line? And the MREA says no. If you're not putting money in, got it.
Here's the deal, you guys. You know, we hear lead with revenue, and I believe that with my whole heart. I believe that with my whole heart. If we're not investing money, then we have to invest time, and that's okay to do that. And you just have to make sure that your time investment is enough to make it work until you earn the money to make the monetary investment. But, you know, it's a ton of sweat equity until you get to that place. And so, you know, if you can't, if it's not in your budget to mail the letters, then the door knocking has to happen. And, you know, it's like you got to get out there and knock on the doors until there's budget allowance to mail to the doors. Please don't drive through the neighborhood and put the mail in the mailbox without a stamp, because that is against the law. There's a team in my area that's doing that right now. So just disclaimer that. So yeah, you know, and it's a little bit eye-opening sometimes where we do have to make an investment in the business in order to make this work. So you know, again, is the return worth it? You know, just like the phone calls, you know, if we're making 50 contacts a week and we can't track any conversations that have turned into appointments and appointments that have turned into agreements, I think the question that we have to ask ourselves is, who were the 50 people that we contacted, and were they quality contacts? And if we determine that they weren't quality contacts, then we have to change the 50 people that we're talking to. I think you can throw money to the wind, you can throw phone calls to the wind. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree that even time can be wasted?
Yes.
So I think keeping an account of what you're spending, keeping an account of what you spend your time on, your money on, it's all super important. And so, you know, this very, very simple bucket system is just a way for you guys to lay eyes physically on what's going out in any given month and determine if it needs to be more. You know, you can red light, green light the whole thing. If you get to the subscriptions column, oh, and by the way, just let me say here, one of the best ways to be able to track this is to put everything in your business on one credit card. So Jason and I have one credit card, and everything that has to do with Bonds Realty Group goes on that card. Every subscription, our super key, our office bill, everything. And then every month when we get the statement, we just get to reconcile. And so, you know, if you get to the end of the month and you've got 4 subscriptions on there, you're like, gosh, I didn't realize I was still paying the subscription to this thing. You can go ahead and cancel it. And so that's one of the ways that we stay on top of our expenses, is just by making sure that everything is paid for only one way. And that helps us stay on top of that. So if you guys aren't doing that currently, I would highly recommend it. It's just a very, very easy way to make sure that you stay on top of everything that you're spending. Sound good? So let's talk a little bit about what you do with that So you get to the end of the month and you have spent more than you've made. Is that going to happen in any given month? Is it possible? Sure. We have a month where, you know, we've written 4 or 5 deals and they're going to close and we have a gap month. I mean, that happens all the time in this business. And so this is where we have to do a lot of planning ahead. So, you know, so now next quarter, you're going to do your buckets, then you're going to total everything out. And then you're going to do the very same thing for the next quarter. You're going to wipe those buckets clean and you're going to start all over with the next 6 buckets on your wall. And you're going to track all of your expenses for the next month. And you're going to total them again. And when you do that for 3 months straight, you're going to have a pretty good idea in that 1 quarter of what you're spending on a regular basis. By that time, you're going to kind of know the money that it takes to keep your business running. And by that time, you should also be able to say, okay, I need to increase my lead generation. I need to spend a little more here, and this is the way I'm going to do it. Or I need to spend a little less here. And so that's when you can take those buckets and begin to move the money around to spend the money in the place where it's going to benefit you the most. Make sense? Now, I have a question. How many of you are spending money on leads? How many of you have a lead generation budget that you're spending right now every month of some type? Okay. How many of you have a client appreciation or PCSOI budget that you're spending every month? Okay. Let's talk about that, please. I would like to encourage you guys. Let me ask you a question. You've got someone you've known for 5, 10 years. They know you, they love you, they trust you. You've got someone that saw your name on the internet and they registered on a website. Which person is most likely to trust you in a real estate transaction? It's the person that's known you and loved you and trusted you for 5 to 10 years. Would you guys all agree with that? In this season in life, we are spending money on our team, on our know you, love you, trust you people. We have pulled way back on people we don't know, and we have doubled down on people that we do know and that know us. Okay? So in this season, when it's, you know, challenging to find homes to sell, we want people to come to us. We want people that know us to come to us before they're thinking of selling. So we've doubled down. We have pulled away almost all of our ad spend. We've significantly cut it, let me tell you that. And we're doing more client appreciation. We're doing more mailing to clients. We have just decided to fully invest in the people that know us, love us, trust us. And so if you guys have lead generation budget for people that you don't know, but you're not spending any investment in people that you do know, you might consider flopping those two. And if you guys have questions about that, I would love to spend some time talking about that, because I believe that the return on investment there is far greater than just the shot in the dark, you know, Google ads or whatever. Any questions or thoughts about that?
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. But then you got to know what's in each bucket first.
You definitely have to know what's in each bucket. I mean, you have to know what your available spend is. And I mean, it needs to start with DTD2, do the database too. If you guys aren't, how many of you are doing that consistently every single quarter? Okay, it's all right. I love your transparency. No, y'all, thank you for being honest and real. If you don't take anything else away from this call, scratch the budgets. I mean, like, listen to the budget conversation. And if you guys need the database to schedule, I will email it to you, okay? With my graphics, I'll give you the whole thing. You guys are on the 12-week year. Every 12 weeks, y'all, please be calling your database. You call them and you text them every 12 weeks. They are your best source. Rodney, you asked me, Denise, you asked me, where are you finding the houses? That's where you're going to find the houses. The people that you're calling that know you. Like doubling down on people that you know, doubling down on past clients. This is where it's at right now. And so investing time and investing money in database is crucial right now, crucial. So I'll be happy to send that to you guys.
Yeah, and I think that's so crazy that you mentioned that, because earlier when Brenda went over her numbers and where she was and how she's picking up like 4 or 5 listings already this month, 90-something% of those listings came from her database.
Yes.
Came from people who knew her, trusted her. 90-something, they either came from there or was referred by someone in her database. So
Yes.
that is crucial. But the first thing we got to have is a database.
You do. And so it's okay. It can be 20 people. It can be 30 people. You know, you hear all these conversations of people on stage and they're like, oh, I have 500, I have 1,000 people in my database. Y'all, it can be 30 people. It doesn't have to be these big, huge numbers. It just has to be people that you start. You have to start somewhere.
And Nikki,
one of the conversations I had this week was with a gentleman. Yeah.
Now I was going to say, I was with Matt Hermes a couple of weeks ago, and he said, if you feel like you have 100 people in your database, if you say, oh, I have 100 people, you probably have a third of that. Once you start doing the DTD2, you probably have a third. So, and he said, that's okay. It's funny. He said exactly what you said. He said, that's okay.
Yes.
You start right there, because that third, those are people who really know you, like you, trust you, and you start to build it out right there. So don't get tied to the big numbers is all I'm saying.
No, and we do. We just think a database has to be this huge number. And I want to share with you guys that I called one of my past clients. He bought his house in 2013. He bought it on Super Bowl Sunday. I said, hey, Perry, I said, I'm probably going to rock your world when I tell you this, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I said, I think I can get $420,000 for your house, and I want to know if you want to move. And he said, are you kidding me? I said, no, I'm not. And I said, I know that the last time I saw you at our pie event, you said that you and Bonnie might consider moving to the beach. And I just wanted you to know that this is what I think your house is worth. He just texted me and said, I really think we might do it. And I said, I don't want to sound pushy and I don't want to pressure you when we had this initial conversation. And he said, Nikki, I just want to thank you for knowing us enough and caring enough about our family to call us and let us know about an opportunity that we might have in this market that we wouldn't have known about. So what I thought might sound pushy, like, oh, this agent just wants another sale, he perceived as me letting him know about an opportunity that he and his family may want to take advantage of. He's just one of my database guys. So, you know, you guys go through your past clients, go through the people that you sold houses a couple years ago. Guess what? They probably have more equity than they even know in the house that you just sold them a couple years ago. You guys, people don't know. And you just caring enough to call and let them know what's going on, they're powerful, powerful, powerful conversations. And you just never know what may come of them. And so, you know, the lead generation money is good and the lead generation time is even better, especially with our past clients and our sphere of influence. So we have about 15 minutes left. And I just want to hear from you guys. What's one thing that's made you think today and scratch your head and say, yeah, I don't know that I really thought about that way before?
For me, I think it was when you said, is this going to have an impact per dollar, or am I using this as an easy button? to avoid a phone call. That's what I wrote down. So I'm
Okay.
like, am I just mailing just so I don't have to call? So, and it's
Yeah.
probably cheaper if I just call and more effective, like you said.
They just want to hear your voice. I mean, Alicia, you are so fun to talk to. Like, your energy is always so welcoming and warm. I can't imagine that somebody wouldn't want to get a phone call from you. And so, no, I'm being serious. Yeah. So of course they would want to hear from you. And yeah, it's a little more time consuming, but the impact is great. Yeah.
And that is definitely one of the nuggets that I received as well. And I think when you started, Nikki, the question of what is the price at which you will sell your home, I think started us off to even shift how we think in today's market. So you shared a lot of great nuggets from the bucket. It's good to have that review. I think that was the start of my aha to ask that
Awesome.
question.
Awesome. Thank you.
I've been seeing the reason why I had a question about the mailers is just because I'm planning on pushing a campaign, and I've been seeing the notes that people have been talking about. They've been working the simple note, and then I also saw a topic talking about, people just selling the hype in that note, or are you actually using somebody that really wants to buy in that neighborhood? And some people were like kind of talking about it. Some say I'm just using it to get endorsed. Some say no, I'm not. I can't remember the exact verbiage for it, but it was like they aren't using, like they aren't bluffing. They're actually talking about somebody that they have. And just for me, it just sounds like not, you're not selling no fluff. You're not over trying to just sell somebody a dream. Just being upfront of like, this is what I have. What do you have? It's just a simple conversation at that point. 'Cause I'm not selling a gimmick. I'm not trying to trick you into anything. It's just, this is what's going on. This is work for you.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Rodney. And I do believe that just transparency and just trying to show, hey, I'm a real estate professional. I'm being as transparent as I can be. I'm going to show you guys this because here's the other thing. If you're not writing letters looking for homes for your buyers are. This was in my mailbox last week. It's a handwritten note from somebody that wants to buy my house. She's actually a buyer. We called her. And she had no idea she's putting in the mailbox of a real estate agent, but she doesn't have an agent. She's not ready to sign a buyer brokerage agreement, but she's so desperate to find a house. She's just driving around houses that she likes and she's writing notes and putting them in mailboxes. Like, that's where we are. And so if you guys have a minute, I will, if I can figure out, I'm not really great at sharing screens, but I'm trying to get better at it. I have a little something that I would like to share with you if you have 2 more seconds.
Yes, Nick. Does it have sound, Nikki?
It doesn't need sound. It's just
Okay.
a little spreadsheet.
Good.
How many of you guys feel like your buyers are a little fatigued? You're making offers, you're losing. Anybody can relate? Okay. So I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, let's see. Can you guys see this spreadsheet that says weekly buyer update? Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This is something that we came up with in our team as a result of a mastermind we had in the team. And I'm going to share it with you guys if you would like to use it. This is emailed to our buyers every single Monday. You know how when we had a lot of listings, we had a lot of time on the market, we'd reach out to our sellers every week and say, hey, this is what happened this week, just to make sure they knew, like, we're doing our job, we're putting your house in front of people. Well, now we're doing the opposite for buyers, because now we have buyers that are in the market a long time. And so what we do is every week we update it with the week's Monday's date. And we reiterate, we are searching for a home with the following criteria: price, area, and the additional following criteria. So we reiterate the price we've been searching for, we reiterate the area we're looking for, and we reiterate any additional criteria that they've said this is super important. Then we go over the mortgage update for the week. So We have a lender that just emails us like, this is what mortgage rates are doing. So we just put that information in there. Then this block says, have you considered? And so this might be, have you considered expanding your search to this area? Have you considered going ahead and expanding your search to 2-story homes? Have you considered whatever thing that might help them find more options? I type it here. Sneak peek properties I found. So, hey, here's a property that I found that's not on the market yet, but it's something that's coming soon and it might be a good fit. We put that there. Actions I've taken this week to help you locate your new home. So Rodney, when you mail those letters, you're going to say, I mailed 50 letters to this community this week on your behalf. I made 4 Facebook posts to these 4 groups looking for a home. And then at the bottom, we always change a quote. So the quote of the week is never give up, for that is just the place and time the tide will turn. And so then what we do is we email this out to our clients every single Monday, just to let them know here, because the gripe and the complaint is, I'm doing all the work. I'm constantly sending my agent these properties. When the truth is, you guys are putting on your Facebook, hey, I need this. I need this. You're mailing the letters, you're making the phone calls, you're circle prospecting, but your buyers don't know that. So this is a way for you guys to stay in communication with your buyers. Let them know this is what I'm doing for you. Like, I am out here working really, really hard to make sure that I find this home for you. And number one, it's going to keep your buyer engaged with you, because we all know that, you know, like if they go around us, we could lose out after all this work we've put in. And the first time I sent this out, one of my buyers that's getting really, really weary, he went through and he commented on every single thing I wrote in there. And then at the bottom, he said, Nikki, thank you so much for working so hard to help us find this house. And I was like, it works. You know, like this communication, it just works. And so Rodney, I see this in the chat. If you guys are interested in this, I will share this with you. I will share it with you in Google Drive so that you guys can manipulate it. If you want to change it, you can. But and then just send this out every Monday. Something else we're doing is we're sending out like just little pop-by treats to our buyers. This week it's Peeps because it's Easter time and we're like, we're so glad you're our Peep. And, you know, like hang in there, you know, just we're really, really focused on buyer fatigue right now. Look, I know we're fatigued too. I don't know about you guys. There are days I come home and I'm like, oh, it's really tough. It is hard. And, you know, just keeping our buyers engaged, because it's like the next one might be the one and we just don't want them to give up on us yet. So I will send this to you guys. Please use it. If they know this is coming every Monday and they can see, especially on the actions this week that I've taken to help locate your property for you, if they know all the things you're doing for them, you know, they're going to be like, y'all, my realtor's working so hard for me. And they're going to be like, I've got the best agent in the business. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel so blessed, you know, and even when it's tough and even when they're, you know, losing some, and they'll know how hard you're working. So I'll share this with you guys so that you have it. If y'all will, maybe Terrell, somebody could just send me one email with everybody's email addresses. I'll share it to everybody at once. Casey, can you do that for me? Okay, yeah. Thanks. I'll send that to you guys so that you can use it.
Hi, may you also send me the database information as well that you were speaking about earlier?
Which one specifically? I'll be happy to share whatever I have with you.
Was it is it DTD2?
DTD2, yes, I sure will. Absolutely.
I got you, Sean. I got you.
Alicia's got it.
Thank you.
Do you have the text scheduled too, Alicia?
Yep, I have the whole schedule, the text.
Okay, awesome. Okay,
thank you.
Great. All right, anything else, you guys?
You know, when you speak about the buyer fatigue, I have been dealing with like a couple clients that I have that are just, you know, getting frustrated. And I have found that I kind of use humor sometimes when I see they're getting frustrated to lighten up the mood. Like I have a couple like couples who I like to put my couples in a group text when it comes to finding them homes. So I'll put some of these realtor memes in there. Just because it's to the point where you can't cry about it. We can just laugh because it's just so ridiculous. And like
Yes.
I use a joke and I'll say, hey, you guys want to know a drinking game that get us drunk real fast? When we close, we can play a game. We'll take how many shots, how many offers we lost. Just things like that. And sometimes they'll be like, thank you for just lightening up the day, because you can't do nothing but just, this is what it is. And sometimes I share stories of clients that I have out who, might be in a higher price range, let them know it's not just them. And just to explain to them, like, we just got to keep fighting, just because they need that help sometimes, because sometimes they say, I just need a couple of days because I can't believe we lost that offer. And I'm like, hey, I get it. I understand.
Yeah. One last thing, and I could talk about this forever. And if you have any questions, y'all can always call me. Okay. I could run my mouth forever, but I'll let you go. But here's the last thing I'm going to say. If you make an offer on a property and there's 15 offers, how many people can win? One. Okay. How many people walk away? 14. How many people do you think have a backup offer on the property? Usually, in our experience, have very few agents fighting to be the backup. You guys.
I'm one of the ones that do it, Nikki.
Good for
I said
you.
about my class yesterday, anybody who's on my class, I said, you guys need to be accepting them and you guys need to be asking to be the backup.
100%.
100%. I got 2 offers accepted because I was backup. I mean, we were backup.
Yes, that is a strategy that so few people are using. Go in strong, incentivize them to not want to work so great with number 1 in due diligence because number 2 looks a little better.
Yeah.
Be strong. It's a missed opportunity. Be the backup, be the backup, be the backup. And so Denise and Brenda, I love it that y'all are doing that. And that's an encouragement that I'm making to my team too. Is
my person needs a house. So whatever it means, and too many deals are falling apart for whatever reason. So I want to be next in line. I actually was talking to my downline today about that. I said, you need to become the backup.
Yes.
In the top 50 the other day, one agent said 36%.
I was just going to share that.
The first offer is falling out. 36% of the number 1 offer is falling out.
Wow,
so
that's closely approaching half.
Yes, you guys. About I don't know. It's been about 5 or 6 weeks ago. We had 3 properties go on the market. In total, 42 offers on all 3 properties. All 3 properties terminated by Monday morning. All first offers on all 3 properties terminated. None of them had backups. So we ended up going to agents and getting it. But the point is that I'm trying to make is if we had binding backups, it wouldn't have been a thing. So
wow.
Good. So
guarantee I'm gonna ask for the backup. If my client really likes their house, I will be asking to be the backup.
100%.
Awesome.
So anyway.
Awesome. All right. Well, Nikki, thank you so much. It is 2:30, and guys, I love the dialogue. Go make your buckets. Don't let this be a waste.